"11 seasons and 139 races are in the books for the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation as we welcome you to season number 12 and a return to the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park, the 10-corner racetrack with the sweeps, the bend, a little bit of undulation, and of course those ever so slippy runoffs that basically will create a fantastic season opener for season number 12 of the 2K World Cup. Qualifying is just getting itself underway. Rules are exactly the same as they always have been. 2 laps. Go as fast as you can and don't get yourself an off track. Otherwise, things might get a little bit more difficult for you. Track temp is, air temp even, is 72 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity at 51%. Clear skies here this evening and 9-mile-an-hour winds as we're going to be racing for 36 laps or 142 kilometers here this evening. Wolverton along with Jake Sparrow. Before we go any further, shout out Iswan Bala, trackcam22.com, Andres Warner and One Design, Simon Grossman, aptioneering.com, and Nick Fisson for RaceWhat.tv. Live timing and scoring. Well, Jake, time to kick off race 140 in the 2K World Cup.
And this is the most stacked field I have ever seen, Will, and this is not an understatement. Let's just talk some of the teams that are here today. You've got the likes of Teo Martin Esports, Evolution Racing Team, the kings of Skip Barber's TT Racing. You talk about GT Ross here today, Thrustmaster Movano, Positive Sim Racing, Teo Martin Esports I've said already, but there is a bigger name than all of those who's joining into the mix. Coming from the esports world, the likes of League of Legends and co. Giants Gaming are here, and this is the similar sort of impact into sim racing, the same way in Spanish sim racing as say FA Racing G2 have.
Yeah, indeed. So Fahim Atanides is out on track right now. Let's go and have a look at some drivers as they are on track. On board with Fahim Atanides, number 130 machine, as he is on a lap right now. Looking at lap times, about 135, etc. here on track, number 130 machine. Just working himself then down toward turn number, I believe he's going into turn number 2, turn number 3. Actually, no, just a little bit further than that. As you see, slowing himself right down now for this double apex right-hander. Moss corner, turn number 5, turn number 6. And well, Jay, overtaking opportunities, there are many of them on this track. Turn number 1 through 4, less so, but as soon as you go into 5, you can pretty much go 3 wide the entire rest of the way around.
Well, it's so difficult to go 3 wide. This long Mario Andretti straight is always going to be the one where you set up the move into 8, but you can hold it 2 wide through 9. You can then get it through into 10 as well. There is always that opportunity to go 2 wide at Mosport, one of those circuits which has a really good high top speed, which means momentum is going to be so vital. Not just for this opening lap in qualifying, we should expect the second laps in qualifying to go even quicker than that. The first times are looking to come down onto the board then. Andrea Ayman should have been the first one to cross the line, as now we're starting to see them come in. Ade Coba Lopez, though, for Giants Gaming, gets himself up to with a 131.1. Vodafone Giants Gaming in top, and it's then Evolution Racing Team, and now Philippe Lebert up into second.
Yeah, I will say one thing. I'm probably one of those people that looks at Giants Gaming and think, you know what, same drivers repackaged under a different team name. Same way FAG2 Racing was. Yeah, more people coming in terms of an esports side of things, that is great, but in terms of the drivers in the series, many of them are pretty much the same as they have been, just in slightly new shiny colours to kick off a new season. Let's go and have a look at TT Racing and Diego Francisco, number 48 machine. Into Moss corner he comes, as it is now Andrew Picoria up into 3rd place. Copa Lopez, Philippe Lebert, Picoria, Lopez Jr., Mallow, Tipton, Fraser, Francisco, who are on board with Sergio Hidalgo, and Enzo Cantor running out your top 10. It's a big field in terms of numbers as well. Over 50 drivers here today at Canadian Tires Motorsport Park. I get slapped around the wrist every time I call it Mosport. So the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park, big grid. We always see a big grid here, Jake. But of course, the risk of a caution on the first couple of laps is a big one.
Well, it's massive. Of course, there's no runoff area. Herman Tilke did not design this track, and he never, ever will get the chance to. There is no space for runoff. You've got to make sure you're correct, because the moment that a high-speed accident happens around here, it's so easy that 10, 20 vehicles get involved. Arian De Freitas moves up into 4th position. Johnny Gindi moves then up into 4th position on a 131 flat. Adekoba goes even quicker. Vinny Rocha back to the dance. Philippe Lebert moves up into pole position. Keep your eyes out. The reigning champion still yet to do his second lap. Brian Lockwood, he's down in 39th.
Yep, so not a good start of the day then for Brian Lockwood. Well, I mean, that's the thing. This track, you often have drivers so close together as well. And if you mess up the first lap, you are going to struggle all the way through. Having a look through the field of drivers who haven't qualified, some big names in that one as well. Richard Avery, for example, hasn't set a qualifying time here today. Tran hasn't set a qualifying time here today. So a couple of big drivers there. Still got a lot of work to do, but let's go and pay our attention over to Brian Lockwood in that number 41 machine. Heading himself then down into the S's. Turn number 8, turn number 9, and turn number 10 on track is White's corner. But now, bringing it through to the left, you've really got to set the car up well here to get yourself the good run that you need into White's corner. That will be important at the end of this event. Final corner. Brian Lockwood was 43rd, and he's now going to move himself up to 32nd. Big improvement.
0.2 of a second, 10 places. That's just how difficult it can be. And just looking at drivers who haven't set lap times, Tuan Tran and Roberto Diaz need set times. It's so crucial, Will, because only the top 55 starts, and we've got 57 trying to qualify. So the two worst drivers, currently drivers who haven't set times, Frank Castillo, Davide Regini, and the likes of Edwin Villarino as well, are all there. John Morgan and Hans Hoyer would be classed as on the bubble. Here's Roberto Diaz, though, over the line for his first lap. He does a 1:31.9. That moves him up into 41st position. Tuan Tran, in comparison, moves himself up into 25th position, Will, which now puts Hans Hoyer firmly on the bubble with Villarino on a lap.
Yeah, and Edwin Villarino, of course, he's a driver who we have seen so often here in the 2K World Cup. We turn our attention over to him. He will complete this lap. I was just double checking there. His best lap time today, well, he hasn't set one. His last lap was an out lap, a 5-minute 39-second out lap officially. So he did have an incident on his out lap, run towards lap even, we should say. Across the start-finish line, 24th. He's into the event.
Into the event, which pushes Hans Hoyer out, and Hans Hoyer does not have a lap, so it's all on Davide Regini if he will set a lap time, but I don't think he will. So I think that's going to be that in terms of where everybody stands at the bottom, but now it's a case of who can improve. Frank Castillo, for example, has done a 359, so he's down in 54th. The last place you want to be is starting on the Mario Andretti straight, hoping for something to happen, because as we all know, Will, positions can be difficult to gain, especially when you look at the top 20, and when you got Justin Tipton 20th and Enzo Cantor 21st, you know this field's stacked.
Yeah, indeed so. So heading himself then through the S's, turn number 8, turn number 9, turn number 10 for Frank Castillo right now in P number 54. Only real driver, just having a look, only real driver, in fact, the only driver on track is Tran moving up into 13th place. So better for him. Castillo past the line, 49th place in the field and safe. We have got Greg Zietz on track. He is on a lap right now, and he should complete this one on time. So let's go and pay our attention over to Greg Zietz's best lap.
Out of laps.
Yeah, he is out of laps. So I was going to say his best lap was actually set last time by 1:31.438. So he has done his 2 laps, just towing around, getting some extra bit of information before this event here today. We're going to step aside for 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Back with the grid after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park, round number 1 of the 12th season of the 2K World Cup here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Qualifying, the timer ticks itself all the way down to 0, and we'll get ourselves ready then to run through your starting grid for this race number 140 of the 2K World Cup, presented by DES Simulation. Let's get that grid up for you then. And it'll be Felipe Barber, qualifying time 1 minute 30.945 at the very front of the field. Ale Copa Lopez alongside him, 27 one-thousandths of a second back. Vinicius Rocha in 3rd place, with Diego Francisco in 4th. Then Johnny Guindy in B number 5, Bill Fraser in 6th. Jordi Lopez Jr. 7th, Aaron Freighter in 8th. Alfredo Malo in 9th, and Edwin Vallarino rounding out your top 10 is Jake. Long grid, I'm not going to roll off 57 names. Well, 2 drivers that didn't qualify, but they're going to come through on your screen. The run to turn number 5 is going to be chaotic.
It will. And you look at the fact that turn 5 is a bottleneck corner as well. It's an off-camber double apex right-hander. Some drivers who look to be greedy and attack that section, they could easily run into issues. But right now, I think this is going to be a strategy game. You've got to hope that the field breaks and splinters up for you. I can easily expect to see a front 8 train breakaway. And I think somewhere around Malo, maybe Viorino, Precario, you've got to be so careful here. Draft and momentum, so vital at motorsport. And I think that a lot of drivers need to be so careful in the early goings.
Yeah, it will be a long race for some of these drivers. 36 laps. So we are doing one of these races, Jake, that will have 2 pit stops here today. We're actually having a look at the rear part of the field. You can see a lot of drivers starting actually in the S's.
Well, a lot of drivers starting in the S's is always going to be a big issue, Will, because that means that they are going to have to go side by side for 3 corners before they even see the green lights. So that's going to mean that they've got to really rely on instinct to move through in the early goings.
But here's a look at the front of your field then as we get ourselves ready for the first round of a new season. There'll be jitters, there'll be nerves, but Felipe Barber starting at the front of the field for TT Racing. Lights are on top of the gantry. Let's get a new season underway. The 2K World Cup starts right now, as always a bit of a slower start compared to what you see in some of the higher powered Formula cars, but coming down in towards 1 for the first time will come your field. They get themselves single file then for the first handful of rows. They work themselves through 1, but turn number 2 is often the trouble corner. First 20 drivers all through okay. Now into that second corner. We got a bit of trouble already. 1 car, and is he going to try and stay off track, Jake? I think he's just about going to hold it.
Alfredo Malo for the Teo Martin Esports team running into issues as now there's more dramas in the middle of the pack at turn 3. We'll have to try and get around, I'm not sure. Track blocked, and a caution comes out there around Kartik Pai getting involved. I think Matt Defoe was there as well.
Yeah, we'll get ourselves a look at that one in a moment's time. One thing worth noting is that we had a lot of drivers involved then. So drivers are now going to try their hardest to get back towards pit road with what might be some pretty damaged race cars. But, as we say, Kartik Pai is there in the mix. Let's have a look on board of him. Down in towards turn number 3. You can already see the track getting semi-blocked as Kartik Pai comes through, and there's nowhere for pretty much about 10 drivers to go, Jake.
Well, they were all having troubles at Quebec Corner, and a Girls Aloud song was I Don't Speak French, but I think a lot of drivers in the end will be using French expletives or something otherwise, because when you get involved in an incident in the middle of the track, the first thing you're told to do is hold your brakes, Will. And even if you hold your brakes, there is no guarantee that another driver is going to see you. And the moment that you start seeing 5, 6, 7 drivers all starting to check up and make contact here and there, it's almost impossible to avoid. This is what we feared at the start of this event. again, it's a caution, but crucially it means that fuel is going to be a little bit easier here today, as now drivers may be starting to feign the idea of coming down in, maybe getting repairs done in the early goings.
Yeah, I would say no one inside of your top 20 drivers should come in and try and top off on fuel. It's a 36-lap race here, and actually, let's try and ride on board of Philippe Labert. Is he lifting and coasting yet? Oh, yes, he is.
Well, of course you would, Will. You need to save that fuel, and you need to save that fuel quickly, especially at such a high fuel consumption circuit like most sports is, when you're on the throttle for maybe 70% of the lap, maybe even a little bit less. You're looking here at a track where fuel saving becomes massive. Being in the draft is massive. Being the head of the train, very similar to a track, say, like Phillip Island, you need to be at the second or third man in that train so you can make that move on the final lap, and you can save enough fuel to get to the end.
Or, on a two-race situation like this, you play the numbers and you just go for it. And Philippe Labert right now might be thinking that one. Of course, it is a rolling restart here. If he can get himself out to a second point two in the first lap or so, you might see him just try and run 7-8 qualifying laps in a row to try and break the field and hope that it never gets to that point of having to be second or third in line at the end.
Yes, but you have to remember that the draft is powerful from over a second back, Will, here at Mosport. It means that you can gain about half a second on this back stretch if you get a good run out of Moss Corner. So you really need a little bit of help from vehicles fighting behind. Imagine it like a cycling race, and all of a sudden you get, say, you know, Chris Froome's team decides he wants to push the margin, but then another team wants to try and disrupt that team. You may get one or two drivers break away, Will, but the issue's going to be then the rest of the pack is tripping over each other.
Did he say break the margin or break open the drugs cabinet?
Neither.
I like as we've got ourselves then drivers on pit road or out of the event. Matt Defoe, Sergio, number 316 car, Richard Avery, Iron De Freighter, Alfredo Mello, Adrian Yunez, and David Regini, and Hans Hoyer there. But we've got a number of drivers who have made pit stops as well. John Sully, Simon Edwards, L. Leroy Coppage, Fabio Monterey, and Martin Cruz have all made themselves a pit stop. Now, these lights should go out on top of the pace car this time by. Indeed, that is the case. The lights are out on the pace car. We're back to green flag racing then after basically about a lap and a lap and 2/3 stuck behind the pace car, Jake, because, of course, they do have to pretty much go at full tilt to get to the pace car.
Yeah, they do, and while I'm just looking at these drivers coming out of pit road, of course, the red light was on at the end of pit road because the pace car was passing. I've just seen Iron De Freighter lose 3 positions, Will, 3 careless positions by just not realizing that pit lane was open, and that is positions to Daniel Muth, that is a position to Sergio Hidalgo and Adrian Jimenez. So certainly a lot of time that can be lost, but those are 3 positions he now has to make on track, Will, and I think small things like that, which you don't normally practice for, have to remember that a safety car doesn't happen in an official race, say, that iRacing provides. You look at this and you go, well, it's something that you need to learn for next time.
Yeah, indeed so. So 3 of 36 laps will be scored complete. It will still be at least 2 stops to the flag for everyone here today. Tyres aren't the issue. The fuel most definitely is, as we see the cars then head themselves through Moss Corner. And then down the long Mario Andretti straightaway. Let's have a look at some of the cars as they work themselves on the exit of Moss Corner. Lots of fantastic new liveries. A couple of broken front ends already on these cars. A couple of battered rear wings as well. But that is a look at the field as they all kind of work themselves then down the Mario Andretti straightaway. And it is a straightaway here, not a straight, because of course we are in North America. And then down towards the S's. Get this show back on the road. And look at how close Philippe Labert is to the rear of the pace car. And Adicopa Lopez would do well right now to close up as much as he can. There's not much wiggle room after that. Pace car comes on towards pit road. We will go back to green flag racing pretty quickly. And as Shake mentioned a moment ago, this is a track, well, this is a series when people aren't used to restarts all that often. Pace car on pit road, picking up the pace then. Green flag in the air we go again. And Philippe Labert bringing the field. It's a 2-car breakaway because Vinicius Rocha was caught napping there. Diego Francisco in 4th place, almost overtaking Vinicius Rocha in towards turn number 1. Can't do anything about that one, however. behind. Let's see if they can all make it through, Jake.
Well, caught napping's one thing. The other thing is maybe team strategy. Of course, 3 of the Team TT Racing inside of the top 4 as Bill Fraser had an alternative line to go through Clayton's corner, turn number 2, into Quebec, which was the trouble corner of 3, and Viarino is not close enough to go and make that move. Side by side further back in the pack, though, as Carl Dronke makes the move on Andrea Ayman, and Justin Tipton now waiting just in front. Now Borja Zazo wants in on the mix.
Yeah, we've got ourselves pretty much clean then. This time around, live timing and scoring will be available in about a minute's time, ladies and gentlemen, once we get ourselves a clean lap in. However, Barber does lead. The gap between himself and Adecopa Lopez is 2 tenths per second, but this is where the draft really comes into play. You won't see a lot of drivers necessarily go for it early in your front duo. They'll start saving fuel as quickly as they can. Adecopa Lopez going to the point and on board of Vinicius Rocha. Gap between himself and Philippe Labert at the end of the straightaway. Only 6 tenths of a second, so not really closing it up too quickly. A couple of drivers, of course, love setting themselves fastest laps, etc., etc. in this event. And, of course, you can get social with us. Links on your screen in a moment's time as well. But 1 lap completed under green here. On board right now, Jake, with Jordi Lopez Jr. versus Johnny Guindy.
Well, Jordi and Johnny are both part of the same team, Evolution Racing Team. They'll need to work together to move up to try and challenge the likes of Vodafone Giants and TT Racing, who are controlling the front 4 positions here of this race. But the draft already proving vital here for Vinny Rocha, who will go through. Keep an eye on Vinny Rocha. He likes to go short on the fuel wheel, and we've seen a number of times so far in his career how he has run out before the end. Also keep an eye on Brian Lockwood right now. He is plus 16 so far in the space of 5 laps, and he's looking to battle it out with Hidalgo and Ayman.
Yeah, as we look on board of Lockwood, they are side by side ahead of him. Jamie Masida and Andrea Ayman as they work themselves towards Moscone. First of all, they got that really hard, really difficult left-hand kink, and you see Lockwood looking left, looking right, looking for a lane. Gets one in towards turn number 5, looking for another one, probably on the exit of the Mario Andretti straightaway. So Lockwood now up into 19th place on track. Talk about Vinny Rocha as well. He's probably one of these drivers that's very happy over the fact that we have had ourselves a caution here to help his fuel number out. As Labor back to the top of the timing sheet, Copa Lopez down into 2nd, Rocha holds station in 3rd.
Yep, Rocha holding station then in 3rd position, Diogo Francisco 4th, Guindy getting a big slide, Mr. Two Shoes himself gets a little bit sideways and manages to hold it together. You can get away with it here today. Well, track conditions are a little bit colder, we're in morning conditions, so maybe the vehicle a little bit more tuned to oversteer than it would be towards understeer, which would be a nightmare at this circuit. We'd be seeing more vehicles off in a fashion of just running off the road, but for now, it is certainly a breakaway of 6. Bill Fraser's been trying to stay along, but Bill Fraser has been running off a couple of times, and he gets a big sideways moment heading through Clayton's corner. Code Brown.
Yep, so that is another one for him then, as we got behind. Most drivers are now kind of just circulating on trying, by the way. The driver who pitted, he's worked himself up into P number 27, looking for 26th place right now over Michael Dallavelle, as he's not able to do that one just yet. Got a couple of Lopez's in the field here today. Victor Lobato Lopez looking on board with him in the number 318 Vodafone machine, exiting Moss Corner now towards Mario Andretti straightaway. They will go again as further up Jordi Lopez Jr. What is with all the Lopez's here today?
Well, it seems that Club Iberia and Club Spain have gone to the mix as Adecoba goes to the front of the field and makes sure he gets himself past Philippe Labert. For Jordi Lopez Jr., he knows what he needs to do. And also keep that eye on Victor Lobato there in the Teo Martins 318, because he's trying desperately to stay with Edwin Viarino and Andrew Picario, because that could make it a very, very juicy 10-car train at the front. Right now, it's a train of 7.
Yeah, it is, although the gap between P number 8 and P number 7 right now is only 8 tenths per second. On board of Andrew Picario, as we'll have a look at the lap times to see how things are going there. Did lose 2 tenths at last time by, so the number 53 machine needs a bit of help from Adrian Valerino behind here, not to fight him too hard in the first section of this racetrack, to give themselves the opportunity to come back into this. But there are some, and this is a weird thing to say, Jake, there are some people that know they are top 15 runners, not necessarily top 5 runners, that don't want to be in this lead pack.
Well, I know that they don't because they want to pick up those positions late. Brian Duell comes very, very heavily into mind as someone who makes positions late in events the same way that a Marty Piatella would in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series as the positive sim racing driver. Currently sits in his second pack in 12th position. Steven Stoyles in front as well as the rest of the train. But you're starting to see here how drivers don't want to be leading this race. This is going to slow down the overall pace of this event. It's going to bring more vehicles into the lead pack, and when more vehicles come into that lead pack, Will, carnage is most likely to ensue.
Yeah, Barber takes the race lead again. Copa Lopez in second place, but look at this one, power moving. Easiest Rocha, number 91 car, slide job. It's TT Racing 1-2.
It is, and they're trying to make it 1, 2, 3, but they don't quite have it right now with Diogo Francisco trying to find every angle to get past the Vodafone Giants racing machine that is there of Ade Kova, but Diogo Francisco will have to wait and will have to try and look. Currently, the only team available at the moment in this field that can put themselves in the fabled lock. A 1, 2, 3 on the podium. We've seen it a few times from Coanda over the years, but a TT lock for the opening round. Does that say intentions met, Will? Maybe so. And of course, TT Racing, they really have made this 2K World Cup their proving ground, their hunting ground. As Bill Fraser versus Edwin Valerino, gap up to 1.5 seconds. So all that working together I talked about a moment ago, Jay, not happening. Valerino and Pecorio lost themselves 7/10 of a second last lap. Well, that's massive here, and I think that the racecraft engineering machine of Andrew Pecario, who has just gone into that brand new team, needs to find a way to bridge the gap, either hoping that that front pack slows down or that they start speeding up and trading positions and not being selfish with their own fuel. Sometimes you need to give a little to get the chance. Here's Bill Fraser, though. He wants to start moving up the pack, challenging Evolution Racing Team's Jordi Lopez Jr., but Vinny wants to go to the front against Philippe Lebert, and this is going to be a very telling battle as we're almost Noah's Ark. We are Noah's Ark. Too wide, too deep, and now it's 1, 2, 3 TT.
Yep, so there we are. You can see the little wiggle from Philippe Lebert. That's going to allow the giant 301 machine to just get alongside into the final corner, but that's now going to be 48 machine Diego Francisco playing battle with the 301 car of Ade Copa Lopez. We've got an incident. We've got Edwin Valerino off, and it looks like he is onto pit road. So actually, no, he's just on towards pit road very early, Jake.
Lap 8 started lap 9, so looking to go for an aggressive 2-stop then. Get the short stop out early, get himself in some fresh air, Will, out and away, and time trial the laps. That could be a really good factor for him moving forward. The only difference is he's got to hope that he's got clean air coming out on track. Yeah,
and also Brian Lockwood is another driver doing exactly the same thing. I was wondering where he was, but he came in at the end of lap number 7 onto lap number 8, has pitted. He's got a clean track ahead of him. For Lockwood, this one can work out well for him because he's probably so much faster than a lot of drivers around him.
Well, he needs to make sure that he gets his title defense working the way that he wants to, Will. It was an abysmal qualifying. He did so well to gain up those positions, avoid the landmines in that opening lap wreck. That's got him into a better position here today to go and attack this race. But for now, he needs a little bit of help. He needs maybe a few drivers running into a few misdemeanors, and that can sometimes be a lot more easier than people think.
Trouble!
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and Fahim Atanides just ran into the rear of Steven Stoyles, and then also Brian Duell just had a horrific incident down on the Mario Andretti straightaway. Replay coming up now. This was a big one, and Atanides, well, it's pretty much all on him in my opinion.
Oh, that was a sickening accident there. You don't like seeing it. You should never have yourself too wide. So similar, Will, to the incident a few seasons ago between Philippe Lebert and Tom Ward. There is no bump drafting in this series for that reason only, and Jordi Lopez Jr. is out.
He is. Technical issues for Jordi Lopez Jr. by the looks of it. Early on, he fell down our timing scores there, Jay, and I was thinking it might come back, but he's out due to technical difficulties.
He is, and you know, it's like the engine blowing up, except the engine can blow up in these sorts of vehicles. You don't want to see a technical issue like that for Jordi Lopez Jr. Unfortunately, that's the end of his race. That's one of his 3 drop weeks used in the series as Diogo Francisco gets close. Bill Fraser gets a piece of Johnny Guindy as well. Diogo Francisco almost took the rear away from Ade Koba. That could have ended in disaster in this front pack. And all it's doing, it's allowing Victor Lobato, Fahim Antonides, who was involved in that incident a lap ago, and Andrew Picario in the Racecraft engineering machine, all to close up. And there is no worry on tyres, Will, when it comes to that stop, because we proved in a 12-hour race, you only need one set of tyres in these Skip Barbers.
Yeah, indeed. So one thing that's worth noting as well here, as they almost go 3 wide in towards the S's. But for Fahim Antonides right now, he now needs a top 5 because by my watch, that's going to be a pit lane start for the next race for him.
Oh, I certainly think it will, and we know that stewards are very quick with their decisions as Koba loses 2 positions. Gindi now tries to steal one away from Francisco. Up and under. The 2-for-1 special was on at the supermarket, and you know what? Gindi had a coupon.
Yeah, as behind, you've got yourself Jonathan Joy Shoker then in the number 110 machine. There's a barbecue on pit road, so order your brat whenever you get yourself the opportunity to do so. Yeah, we might not be in Wisconsin like the guys in the Verizon IndyCar series were, but we've heard the brats are good up here anyway. Johnny Gindi, Diego Francisco, Bill Fraser, Adacopa Lopez, they're all in that battle. Having a look down, it really is now helping Picario because the last couple of laps, he gained 9 tenths that previous lap, Jake.
Oh, well, that just tells you all you need to know. He did a 130.7. Look at the leader, did a 131.3, 131.4. That's everything you need to know. Now you've got Picario on the back of the train, and now Victor Lobato wants to get on the train. Fahim Antonides wants to get on the train as well. As Brian Dwell's come down in onto pit road, he is now officially 1 lap down, but you're starting to see how the trade-offs happen, how drivers want to get themselves into position. Someone like Johnny Gindi, for example, wants to move to the front of the field, a clear lane to come down to pit road as we're almost 3 wide and 2 wide behind will go into turn number 8. They come along as again the blue wheels of Vinny Rocha prove Brazil can move to the front of the pack. Bear is there in second, and now Francisco thinking about the inside and looking for position number 3 at White's corner and gets it. It is now a TT lock, but they're still too wide.
Yeah, let's give you a lap here. Racespot TV fan immersion live from Canadian Tires Motorsport Park. Your top 8. This is absolutely fantastic. You know what, Jake? This is that kind of calm before the storm moment. I expect a lot of drivers to start thinking about pit road from this time onwards. Of course, the 2 laps behind the safety car means that window has extended out quite dramatically. Drivers can come in my opinion, about as late as lap number 16 and still kind of just about get it through on 2 stops here. So pit road will become very busy very quickly. And you made the really good point a couple of moments ago. People looking for a simple way in towards pit road, because one thing about the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park, it's hard to get in and it's bunched up coming out.
Oh, you bet it is, and it's right onto the racing line on pit exit as well, so you have to be up to speed incredibly quickly as well, so that's why you want some fresh air as your leading 8 continue to go in. Bill Fraser, though, having a fantastic run of things right now. We normally see him in the UK&I Monday Night Skippies, which will be happening tomorrow night with Rachel Whiteford and co, and I think, Will, that Bill Fraser is showing some really nice form, and I'd like to see more of the Monday Night Skippy guys have that opportunity to go and race, because it's proven right now they can race at the front of the 2K World Cup, which is the greatest field in Skip Barber sim racing.
And of course, you can check out Monday Night Skippies tomorrow night on Racespot TV and on iRacing Live from 9 p.m. UK time, that is 8 p.m. GMT, as we're having a look on board of Bill Fraser, catch Rachel Whiteford, Linus Bromstrom, and Connery Maddock when he's back with that one. But we are seeing, look at that 109 car, Johnny Gindy almost being boxed out of the corner then as they head themselves to start another lap here. Lap number 14 of 36. That one got very dicey, but one thing that is worth noting, these guys know how to race wheel to wheel and for the most part not end up having incidents. One thing actually I was about to say for Bill Fraser was that you don't want to touch those white lines. Bill Fraser did just touch that white line, and that very almost sent him off into the kitty list. And if you do that here at the Canadian Tires Motorsport Park, you will end up in the wall. Atanides now up into this leading train. He is fighting for 7th.
He is, as he looks to try and get past Andrew Picario, who formerly said that white cars mattered. Right now, Racecraft Engineering says that his vehicle needs to get up to the front of the field and very, very quickly, as there's a big wiggle there from Diogo Francisco that could compromise his run. And the more that they fight in 3rd position onwards, the more they allow Lebert and Rocha to break away. And Rocha is the most dangerous person when it comes to pit road. You can't afford to give him an inch. You can't afford to give him a mile as well, because he will go and push that envelope more than anybody else. To the outside goes Philippe Lebert. To the outside goes Johnny Gindy. Let's Noah's Ark once more. And look at that. Team orders. Lebert to the front of the field, as now still Gindy tries to get his way past Francisco, but he's got the outside for 10, but this inside for 9, which is not going to help.
Yeah, as we're having a look through.
And he comes.
Yeah, we have got people then coming in already. And this is going to be Johnny Gindy on towards the lane. Thankfully for him, he has got himself a dance partner in Andrew Picario. That might well prove to be useful for him.
Oh, you bet it will, and that's going to mean that there's a drafting partner. There's contact between Francisco and Fraser. Francisco goes around, Adekoba gets a piece of it. Francisco in the wall and effectively out of this race.
Replay coming up then. And this all starts on the run down in towards turn 1. There you can see the 2 cars coming in, by the way, on the right-hand side of your screen. But now, having a look by our aero coverage, brought to you by And One Design here, official graphics partner, Racebot TV. Here they are, middle of your screen. Contact going to be made once, contact going to be made twice, veering across the track. And you're right, Kobe Lopez gets a bit of that one as well. But the worst thing is you got yourself one driver, and that is Diego Francisco, who is on pit road and out.
And definitely out of this one. The good news for Adekoba, though, despite the damage that he's got to the front of his machine, and he has got a crumpled front wing at that as well, is that there is one fast repair, a T-car, as it were, Will, that he can use, and he can get the damage repaired and get back out and going. The bad news is, any other damage will then look to be repaired manually by the crews that they have there. Side by side as Antonides now moves himself up into net 3rd, but look at the gap that this has allowed Lebert and Rocha to come in, and I think Gindy and Picario have just become kings. Late call down onto the lane for Lebert.
Yeah, so Lebert then comes on towards pit road from what was your leading group. He might be looking now to make maximum use of this situation. Comes in to make his first of 2 pit stops here today. Next pit stop will be around lap number 30, lap number 31. Don't forget, these drivers did save some fuel stuck behind the safety car a little bit earlier on. Philippe Lebert, expect a 13 to 14 second pit stop around about now. Actually shorter than that, 9.2. He's out and away. So quick stop there for Philippe Lebert as ahead with top 8 then for the time being. Vinny Rocha, Fahim Atanides, Bill Fraser, Adekoba Lopez, Victor Lobato Lopez, Justin Tipton, JB Masida and Carl Dronke. But that's only part of the story because a lot of people have yet to pit here, and we expect the lane to be hugely busy this time by. To just let you know where Philippe Lebert has come back out, he's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. In fact, he's got 5 cars ahead of him right now. Tran, Devon Singh, Simon Edwards, as well as the number 110 and the 311 cars. So not the best times coming towards pit road potentially for him there, Jake.
No, it wasn't, but he short-filled that stop, so he's put himself a mile in front of Gindy and Picario. Gindy in front of Picario. Let's not also forget there was that stop very early on for Brian Lockwood in this scenario, and Lockwood and Viorino, for example, have looked to make some good progress up through the field as the GT Ross machine of Javi Ross now under a bit of pressure, but pit road looks to be open. In is Rocha onto lane behind Steve Facciacci, but 3 stay out right now, and that's Koba, that's Fraser, and that's Lobato as well.
Yeah, as we're just seeing ahead, Turan really trying to force the issue with some of these drivers. Here he is, moving himself, trying to cut through some of this traffic. As 1, 2 cars going to come on towards pit road, 3 cars from that gaggle. Pit road is now a very, very busy place. As there is Vinicius Rocha out and away. Pit stop time for him then will be 14.4 seconds. Johnny Gundy's already done his pit stop for Antonides, so he is coming out of pit road in 15.7 seconds as he works himself back out onto track, merging, and he's actually got a piece of clean track behind, a bit of clean track ahead as well. Just want to work out what Philippe Barber is compared to all these other guys. He's 2.8 ahead of Vinicius Rocha, Johnny Gundy, etc. But he did short fill, Jake.
He did short fill by a few seconds, and he'll have to gain that back in his second stop. So we definitely know Leibert will be one of the first to come back in onto the lane. Rocha's got Gindy for company, which is not ideal. Precario's been broken a little bit, and there you see Edwin Viorino, who is in the strategy game in the wheelhouse. But as I say that, Johnny Gindy runs very wide through the Moss corner, and that's going to put him under a little bit of pressure. Your leading 3, though, should be down onto the lane this time by, and one decides to dive in. That's Bill Fraser. The others, though, they've been playing that fuel game. They're staying out. Victor Lobato and Ade Koba, the 2 Lopez's, are staying out.
Yeah, so here is Bill Fraser then making himself his first of 2 pit stops here today. You do still need to make it on 2 stops, but of course the guys like Ade Koba and Victor Lobato Lopez who are going to, as Bill Fraser overshoots them, that will cost them at least 2/10 of a second, probably a little bit more. 141 machine going to make his pit stop, and that really is going to hurt him. Burr's passed already. Tran's passed already. It's an even longer stop, 15.7, then out and away for Bill Fraser. Not the type of pit stop he needs. These drivers who are going to pit late and later, of course, their second pit stop will be on the short side. Meanwhile, Matt Defoe, hello. We've been asked to say hello to you. You had a 3-minute and 10-second pit stop. Not a good day for you in that positive sim racing car, but you're currently in P number 43. We have got a slow car coming. Actually, they're both cars on pit road even. They are Andreas Robertson and Roberto Diaz. We've also had Devon Singh coming out into a lot of traffic right now. And that's the thing, you re-merge onto the track, Jake. It is very scary. There's a gaggle of cars trying to merge on to the M6 when it's pretty much rush hour, but your entry lane's perfectly fine.
Yes, exactly, Will. And as we see Ade Koba dive down onto lane, Lobato's had a horrible lap. I think he's run off wide somewhere, so he will definitely drop himself down the order as he looks to get himself on the lane. Everybody now has pitted as Leibert will look to re-inherit the race lead proper at this stage, with Tran and Defoe needing to come down on the lane sometime in the next few moments. In comes Tran on cue. I think that also with a 90-second lap time and just how difficult this track can be, you need to make sure that you get yourself out and away very, very effectively as the waiting continues for those who are down on pit road. Koba finally gets himself out of the way, but look at where he is. He's behind Viorino, and he is also now behind Fahim Antonides as well.
Yeah, so let's have a look. Everyone now has made themselves a pit stop, so what we will do, not this lap, the next time around, we can run through your full list of results, tranche around them. Second pit stop for him today, of course, involved in incidents earlier on in this event. Out and away, car right alongside him, right behind him, coming out of pit road, and this is that traffic jam we were talking about. But for Tran, he's actually able to just about get and merge in before the next gaggle of cars will all try and come through.
Oh, it's a big incident in front of Rocha. It was a spinning Fabio Unvadrus who was in a little bit of trouble. He just got a piece of the grass on the outside of Moss corner, was spinning to the inside, and that was so dangerous for those 2 drivers, Will, because they had absolutely nowhere to go. Good news for Leibert. That's more of an advantage when it comes to his next stop. Yeah,
Carl Drunke lost it down in turn number 3, and you can see just how hard it is to bring a car back onto track here at the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park. But, well, ahead, Johnny Gindy right now, Vinicius Rocha. If you are Gindy, you're going to say, come on, I know we're on different teams here, but let's try and see if we can get up to Philippe Leibert. But I doubt it that Vinny's going to want to play ball right now.
Well, as we all know, there is a brigade when it comes to TT racing, and they all work very, very hard for their leader, Philippe Labert. So right now, if Vinny's got a chance of winning, he'll go for that win. They know, Will, that once it gets down to the bread and butter, they are allowed to fight for it. But anything before that, they're working for the team results. And that's where Rocha comes in, because Rocha can hold Guindy up here, give the gap to Labert, and push forward. The thing they can't afford to do, though, hold up too much, because Precario did a 31-1 that last time by 0.6 of a second quicker than Rocha, who had to check up for Umvadrus.
Yeah, as we're just having a look down outside of your top 15, this is Daniel Murph trying to hunt down Devon Singh right now. Battle for 17th place on track, and that's going to be a car merging in then. Car scored a lap down. Yeah, it's Matt Defoe. Scored a lap down. Actually, Daniel Murph does pull quite wide down in turn number 2. As a consequence of that, now into Quebec, turn number 3. Back end, stepping out a little bit on that 307 machine. Let's run through then your top 10 as it stands after 20 laps when we score complete of this event this time by... And it is Philippe Labert leading the way by 4.2 seconds right now over Johnny Guindy, but it's very close between Guindy and Vinicius Rocha. Third place is Rocha. Fourth place is Andrew Precario, with Edwin Valerino in 5th place. Rahim Atanides up into 6th. Brian Lockwood, after miserable qualifying, up into P number 7. So that one worked for him. Adacopa Lopez in 8th, Justin Tipton 9th, Enzo Cantor rounds out your top 10 as Valerino and Atanides are in topping positions. In fact, no, Valerino's back on towards pit road for his 2nd time here today, Jake.
Yeah, he is. And, well, just look at Edwin Valerino. That 2nd stop is in a very difficult position for him as he looks to come in and make that work out. We're on lap 21 here, so he's got to go 15 laps on a tank of fuel. That's not impossible, but as we all know, he's got to work as hard as he can over this stint to make it work. Does he come out with traffic, though? There's 3 that go past him. There's 6 that goes past him. 7 that goes past him. The back of Matt Defoe. And there's a 3-car gaggle as he looks to get out onto the pace. That's Jonathan Dekesher, Roberto Diaz, and Carl Dronke, and he's in the midst of all of it. In fact, he's behind all of it then, and Kartik Pai. Disaster stop then for that driver, Edwin Valerino, as he's now got to deal with the spinning Roberto Diaz in front of him.
Yeah, as is Diaz spinning. Let's get ourselves a replay of that one for you. On board then with Diaz. She's down into 2. Just clips the curb, and that's gonna, not even the curb, just clips the grass there, Jake, and it's gonna spin him around.
As easy as that, it can happen. And for Edwin Valerino, he got lucky there. That could have so easily have ended his race. The way that that corner falls away from you at Clayton's turn number 2, it's so easy for a vehicle to just roll off back into the middle of the circuit. Diaz did so well to keep that on the inside of the track. I will say Bill Fraser, who we did have an eye on, lost it coming out of pit road into turn number 3. That's put him out of the event as well. But for now, this field keeps chopping and changing, and the one driver we haven't talked about, currently in 9th position overall at the moment, Will, is Enzo Cantor, started 23rd, having a fantastic drive.
Yeah, but Brian Lockwood, after that miserable qualifying, is up now into P number 6. I am going to now pull up that graphic and show you the movers and shakers in this event here today, and you've got to circle Brian Lockwood up 30 places. Up 14 for both Justin Tipton and Enzo Cantor, 22 for Borges Arzo, 18 for Davey Maceda, and 14 for Simon Edwards here today. You notice that Daniel Murph's up 27 places, 31 up from Michael Danaville, 24 for Jonathan Drustrucker and in the number 110 car, 28 places for Francisco Velasquez Monzon, up 26 places for Andreas Robertson and John Morgan as well. Of course, a couple of big losers in your field here today. Brian Duell, one of them. Of course, the biggest one is Arian De Frita, down 44, and Alfredo Malo down 45 positions. Okay, getting ourselves close now to the second round of pit stop. It's going to be starting in about 7 minutes' time. Going to take a quick break here on Racespot TV and on iRacing Live. We'll be back with more after this as we take you Racespot TV side by side.
And this is crucial because he needs to get out, and he needs to get out in some clean air. And crucially, nobody following him down onto the lane. Still waiting, still waiting. A vehicle comes out in front of him. That's Steve Versace, who's looking to get going, and it's a long, long stop for Philippe Laibert as he looks to get himself out and going. He's behind JB Masida, but he's in a lot of clean air. So there's the good news. He can start working hard, but that was a very long stop, Will. It would be classic Laibert, but as we all know, Leibert's got to hemorrhage those 4-5 seconds to Guindy and Rocha. He now needs Rocha to fight hard against Johnny Guindy, and they've been trading positions every lap, every other lap there or thereabouts, as the leading two now side by side as they make their way to turn at number 8, and Rocha is given the position again by Johnny Guindy. Guindy, who had an atrocious season last season where he managed to fail to finish. I think it was his first or 6 of his first 7 races, so that just shows you how bad Guindy was running last year. But looking for that opportunity this time, they need to work together, and I think for Guindy, he knows that Rocha's not going to be too helpful. Yeah, saving some gas is going to be very, very crucial for him. It means he's got more in the tank to attack later on. It could also mean that he can have less time on that lane to get to the magic number that he needs to get himself over the line with. But very crucially, a nice little 3-car battle going on a little bit further down. Leibert's cleared it. It's Devon Singh, Simon Edwards, and Tuan Tran with Matt Defoe. Oh, hello again on the rear, just tagging along for the lulz, apparently. But for now, Tuan Tran, Simon Edwards, Devon Singh, all of them have looked to have made a good number of positions, apart from Tran, who is +1, but they are all looking for that top 15. And of course, there is one race winner here in this pack of 3. Well, pass. No, it won't, and that's just going to make life a little bit more difficult for people to understand where they are in terms of where do I stand. You need to make sure that you know exactly who you're fighting with and hoping that your strategy is better. Right now, for someone like Ade Koba, for example, in the 301 for the Vodafone Giants machine, he's got Justin Tipton back there, and that's going to be a little bit worrying because Justin Tipton has been really quiet all race long. We haven't seen too much of him as a candidate. Started 22nd all the way up to 6th. It is worth noting as well, we have seen Brian Lockwood come down onto the lane, and crucially, he is a full 10 seconds behind Philippe Laibert. Well, that's just a testament to his pace. He did 1:30.5 that last time by. You look at what Laibert did, it was a 30.9, so actually he gained a bit of time, but crucially he's got a 4-car train in front that he needs to try and break, and he's tagging along people with him. Kartik Pai, Edwin Viorino, who's on and made that second stop. So crucially enough for Brian Lockwood, he's ahead of Viorino, but right now I'd put him right now scrapping it out with Koba and with Tipton on the lane. Yeah, they need to stop, and well, here comes the train of 4 that goes through Matt Defoe at the rear of it. Where is Lockwood? The answer is going straight by. Where's Viorino in all of this? Going straight by. So all of a sudden now, I put Viorino in front of Tipton, and this is going to be touch and go between Viorino now and Koba. This is going to be interesting because Koba has actually let Brian Duell through, who is quicker out on track and is lap traffic. So this is not really too helpful in some respects for Koba, but he's trying to use the traffic to his advantage desperately. Yep, Cantor looking for his box and hits it perfectly. The Italian, who is so good. I say he has one of the best beards in sim racing. I say it all the time because he is mightily impressive as he gets himself now out and away. A good short stop there for Enzo Canto under the Michelin footbridge. And now you can see where he comes out. The answer is behind Brian Lockwood. The answer will be behind a certain Mr. Edwin Viorino. And he will be out with Justin Tipton just behind. But he is just in the wheelhouse, Will. He needs to get into play, but side by side for your race league, Gindi versus Rocha, as now Javi Ross gets out of the way and he makes sure of it as well. So Rocha unable to make anything happen, then Gindi makes the move, gets himself to the front and has a little bit of a gap to work with as well. And on cue, front of the pace, Gindi dives down to lane, very aggressive, almost running into that little grass strip which nobody ever touches. Gindi is pushing. Got him. Yeah, he's done it for now, but of course there's one bit of lap traffic in the middle. Steve Ficciacci, it's going to be a case of Gindi's got to get round now and stay within a second. If he stays within a second, Will, he's got a shot at victory. If he doesn't, there's trouble. Ficciacci gets out of the way. Good driving there by Steve Ficciacci, but now Leibert's got work to do. Now here's the next question. Does Rocha short fuel it?
Well, yeah, of course, but...
Laid out. Yep, and well, all 4 drivers stay out, 5 stay out. JB Masda stays out as well. That one will be for position as well, which is not helpful for Leibert, who runs wide coming out to the final corner. You can get away with that, but not without an instant point, Will. And instant points become so pressured. Just drivers like Brian Lockwood on 14 out of 20 right now. If you hit 20, that's it. Your day's done. We've been very clean overall. This is a circuit that doesn't often let up an instant point, but right now, you can't afford to get into an instant. Anytime you hit another vehicle, that's 4 of them that get lopped off your bulk.
versus Masida. Barber versus Masida. Let's get that one right for the 4th time. Hi everyone, I have been here the entire time. Jake's not been talking to himself. We do apologise. Lockwood, we're on board with him right now. As having a look at Vinicius Rocha at the same time. He's on towards pit road, turning our attentions over to him, Jake.
Yeah, Vinny Rocha on the lane. We'll see how short of a stop this is going to be. Macario follows. Antonides follows. Adekoba stays out. Victor Lobato is yet to make his way onto the lane. And we are expecting Philippe Laibert to make his way onto the lane. He's got past JB Masida. He's put daylight between himself and Johnny Guindy. But remember, keep an eye on Rocha, who is right at the end of the pit road and going short. And Rocha is going to try and run for the border here. He's running for this one and he's got the lead. But crucially, I don't think he's got the fuel.
Well, he might have the fuel. Let's not forget that Barber only did a 9-second pit stop earlier on and is only going to be 5 laps to go at the end of this one. So, Vinny Rocha, he's doing it risky right now, but this isn't as risky as you think here, Jake.
Well, no, he's had an opportunity to save fuel behind Johnny Guindy, so he's maybe got that number down to where he wants, but we know that Rocha likes to cut it so that he runs out of the final corner, and he's not got any fuel at all to go and do another outlap, as Laibert has a big moment, and he loses the position to JB Masida. Here's the opportunity for Guindy. They're starting to check up over each other, Will, and all of that was down to trying to get past Victor Lobato, but not getting it right.
Yep, as Philippe Laibert, 7 laps already into a stint right now, as he's going to have to get past JB in the number 233 car. He's going to do that. They're going to go 3 wide in towards the S's again. Well, this is okay. You can go 3 wide here. So there's no need to shout and scream too much unless they make contact. They're not going to do so. Laibert back up into 3rd place, but it will cost them a bit of time. It cost them a second there over Vinny, and all that will now do for Vinny as look at that actually on towards pit road there for the driver of Masida. So he's going to be okay at the end of all that one. But what it did do is it costed Laibert 1.2 seconds, so Rocha can save a bit more now.
Certainly can. He's got a bit more of a buffer, a margin right now. The only driver who has not come down and made a second stop yet is Adekoba in the Vodafone Giants racing team. And right now for Adekoba, he knows that he can't make it all the way to the line. He's got 5 laps to go in this event, 4.5 now as he makes his way to Moss. He's been saving fuel religiously all race long, but he will have to do a very, very quick splash and dash to finish this one. And for the moment, I think he's looking at Precario, maybe even Antonides if he's unlucky.
Yeah, Johnny Guindy did touch a white line then in towards Quebec corner. Did unsettle the car a little bit, but gets a fantastic run off Moss corner. You can just see how close he is to Philippe Laibert. The gap between Rocha and Laibert, by the way, up to 3.3 seconds right now. So it looks as though that Rocha might end up winning this event because Guindy and Laibert are going to start tripping over each other.
Well, it's more the fact that Leibert's making unforced errors again and again and again, and here comes Guindy to the outside, looking for the opportunity, little bit of a tire on the grass then as he looks to angle himself. Oh, that's beautiful, and now he cuts the nose off at the end as well to say thank you very much and come again. He moves himself up into 2nd, and he keeps himself in a very, very strong position at the moment. Laibert will look to come back at him, try and work hard for Vinny Rocha at the moment. That gap as they cross the line, Will, it's going to be very telling with 4 to go. The answer between them is still that 3.6 seconds, but still staying out is Adekoba.
Yep, so Koba Lopez will stay out one more time. Let's look at the lap gaps. Notice that it was 2 tenths then that was lost by Guindy over Rocha last time by. The graphics weren't perfect for Guindy and lap 31 because, of course, pit stops there. But Laibert right now is going to have to work with Guindy because Victor Lobato Lopez is a silent man in the mix. And, of course, he, along with Adekoba Lopez, they're not going to try and fuel save it to the end, are they?
Well, they can be brave if they want to. I'm not sure they're going to make it to the end. It takes a brave man to one-stop this race, and we've been going for 51 minutes, now looking at 52 minutes in this one, so you hope that they can hold on as Adekoba has, crucially, a drafting partner, and that's Brian Doyle in the Positive Sim Racing machine, has been a stalwart of that team for a number of years. Laibert to the outside then of Johnny Guindy. He'll make the move, and comfortably before they make it to turn number 8. That's going to be vital, but Koba stays out with 3 remaining.
Oh, my word. How late can you go? Starting to feel a bit like an Indy 500 here, Jake, in that he could come in on the white flag. He could just try and run out of fuel.
Well, you can win it on a fuel save of all things. It's the most IndyCar way to win, as we all understand. But for now, it's a case of waiting, because Ade Koba did a 31.5 that last time by. It was a 30.9 from Vinny Rocha, who closed up by 0.6 of a second. But the big thing is, it's a 9-second gap to Rocha, who we think is short on fuel. Koba, who we definitely think is short on fuel, but may surprise us. And then you got Barber sitting 12 seconds back of your race leader right now, running quicker, 0.4 of a second that last lap than Vinny Rocha did. So this is all starting to close up together here into a perfect concoction, as we now have 2.5 left.
Yeah, I would say at this stage that Vinny's got enough fuel to make it to the end. Philippe Barber, 4 tenths faster, but that's more, I think, a bit of draft than anything else, because Vinny Roche has been running it pretty much by himself for the last couple of laps, so we can see him. He's not got anyone to work with here. I say that as he just works himself past some lap traffic. But with the exception of that, Jake, he's not really had anyone to work with over the last couple of laps.
No, he hasn't, and that's only going to be draining his fuel reserves more and more and more. In fact, he goes past Francisco Velasquez there, who is lap traffic, who had a moment a couple of laps ago, so gets past it. Koba stays out again. Popsicle sticks go in the air because there's 2 laps to go. Ade Koba's going to run the gauntlet here. Rocha, I don't think, can close him down in time. Barber and Guindy right now, when we thought they would be fighting for the victory, they're fighting for a podium of all things, and Victor Lobato's in 5th.
Yeah, Vinny Rocha gained 2 tenths of a second over Ade Koba Lopez that last time by. We're not seeing any signs that Lopez is too low on fuel. Victor Lopez, having a look at him right now, he is dropping back though. He's dropped back dramatically, and he's lifting and coasting. Victor Lopez is very short on fuel here. He's going to lose P number 5. He's going to lose that top 5, because here comes Andrew Picorio right behind him now. Picorio is through, and Victor Lopez, I think, has timed it a little bit too short here. 17-second pit stop for Victor Lobato. So if that's anything to go by, Ade Koba Lopez must be on fumes right now.
Well, we're seeing he's dropping back a little bit here from Brian Dell, and actually, interestingly, he pulls out of the toe, so that's just proving he doesn't want to close up too much. He's got Fabian Menetre just behind him, who could be a factor here, doesn't want to quite get involved. All of a sudden, there is a worry right now for Vodafone Giants and Ade Koba. Can he make it to the line in time? The white flag will come out this time by Will, but I'm not sure. He will stay out and try and complete this one, but now he's got to hope that he's got 4 kilometers worth of fuel left.
Well, here we are then, white flag, 1 more lap to go, but he's allowing drivers to go past here. This is really like an Indy 500. He's got 8 seconds. He can go slower here. The white flag is out for Koba Lopez, lifting coast all the way down the hill right now. The driver ahead of him going wide down at turn number 2 is not going to help him at all. But for Koba Lopez right now, what he's got to do is lift and coast as much as he can. Battle going on between Barber and Guindy. We'll keep an eye on that one. Barber is winning that battle right now. Vinicius Rocha looks fine on fuel. Koba Lopez going to lift and coast it again, almost surely into Moss. Doing exactly that. Into 5. And into 6 he will go. We're going to stay on board of Koba Lopez, because if he can pull this one off, this will be fantastic for him. That Vodafone Giants team making their debut in the 2K World Cup. And what a way to kick off season number 12 on a 140th broadcast event of the 2K World Cup here on Racebot TV on iRacing Live. You've really got to get to the end of this straight at the very least. Try and coast it if you can through 8 and 9. I just heard the fuel go potentially for the first time. The white flag is out. 2 corners left to go right now. Victor Lopez has got issues. Johnny Guindy is past Philippe Barber. We'll come to that one in a moment. Ade Koba Lopez, final corner. He's done it. He will win here at Mosport Canadian Tires Motorsports Park. Koba Lopez does it in 1 start. Philippe Barber, Johnny Guindy, going to replay this one for you now. Barber holds on to 3rd place over Guindy at the end. Vinicius Rocha will take home second place. And this is what went down with Johnny Gindy. You can just see Felipe Barber, final corner, final lap, just sneaking himself then past Johnny Gindy. Oh my word, what a race we have just had here today. The safety car always creates some interesting situations. We thought it will be Vinicius Rocha who might be pushing the margin, Jake, but it's Adecopa Lopez then and the 301 machine who are your winners here at the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park.
And there's a reason, Will, why I so badly want to see safety cars in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series and at the top level of iRacing Championships, because they change everything. Without that safety car, Adecopa's not making that on a one-stop. He's making it on a two-stop strategy. So that would put him all the way back down through the order. He lost 3 seconds almost on that final lap to Vinicius Rocha. 2 seconds, actually, the gap that he lost. But that won't matter. He takes the victory for Vodafone Giants. Giants Gaming get their big victory in the 2K World Cup, and there's more to come from that team. Leibert did well to get past Gindy, but it was Gindy's mistake in the end, Will, as he got sideways slightly through 8.
Yeah, and there is Adecopa Lopez pretty much in fumes right now. I don't believe the bump drafting rule applies after the drivers come to the end, so maybe he'll get a little bump back towards pit road. Here, though, are your final race results. It's Adecopa Lopez Jr. He does a 17-lap stint to hold on and claim victory in round number 1 of the 12th season of the 2K World Cup here at the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park. He wins by 5.8 seconds over Vinicius Rocha, who did a short fuel at the end, and we thought it might have been him running out of fuel. We never realized that Adecopa Lopez Jr., Adecopa Lopez even, will be the one staying out all the way to the end. Felipe Barber, 3rd place, Johnny Gindy in 4th, Andrew Picorio rounding out your top 5. Fahim Atanides in P number 6 with Victor Labarto Lopez in 7th, Brian Lockwood in 8th, Edwin Valerino in 9th, and Enzo Cantor rounds out your top 10. Just to let you know, Adecopa Lopez ran out on the Mario Andretti straightaway, could not make it all the way home, so couldn't quite get the chance to not quite do donuts, but go back to the start-finish line. P number 11, Justin Tipton. P number 12, Borges Arzo, Tran in 13th, Devon Singh 14th. Simon Edwards rounds out your 15 drivers. Kovlik Pai, Michael Dadavel, and Yao Oliveira, and Jonathan Drugser, and Andrea Elmon are your top 20. Rest results up on your screen. Get this, of 30 drivers finished on the lead lap here today. A total, I'm just going to have a look through here, a total of, I believe, 32 drivers. Indeed, 32 drivers did finish on the lead lap. Had ourselves 6 drivers scored 1 lap down. John Tully scored 2 laps down, and then your retirees cycling through for you now. You need to take a breath after that one. We'll be back with post-race interviews after these messages. You're watching the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Welcome back then to post-race coverage from the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. And it was a fun one. It was a crazy one at the end. Holding on to take victory was Adecopa Lopez by 5.8 seconds over Vinicius Rocha. Philippe Laber third, Johnny Guindy fourth, and Coria running at your top five. Philippe Laber. I bet you didn't believe that Adecopa Lopez could do a 17-lap stint.
No, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it because he was staying out, and I thought, well, that's impossible because you can only do 15 laps on a tank, and he did 18 laps or 19 even. It was just incredible. Hats off to him for pulling that one off.
Started the race on pole position, led through the safety car period. That safety car period affect you at all in terms of your approach to the event?
No, not really. It just made it a lot, made me settle down a little bit at the start of the race, and then try to stay out of trouble. And I decided to pit early because I didn't want to get into fights with the cars behind me because I saw Johnny coming. He's pretty quick, so I just wanted to play it safe, and it almost worked until Johnny and Vinny came out together and started working together to put in better lap times than me. And when I saw that, I knew I had no chance of winning. But in the end, I'm pretty happy. I led quite a few laps to have some bonus points, and I had the pole position, so I'm happy.
Well, the 140 races now scored complete in 2K World Cup history. The finish of this one, how does it rank in terms of the "I don't believe this is happening" approach?
Oh, you mean the fuel saving by a day?
Yeah.
That's just, yeah. Well, I have no words for it because it seems impossible. He did something that was impossible. So it's way up there with the craziest results ever in the 2K Cup.
I think it sits probably alongside that famous Watkins Glen last lap finish. But next time out, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Now, this is a track that we don't normally go to in 2K World Cup. It's one that I like part of the track, but the rest of it, it's going to be a very technical track. I mean, there's a lot of off-camber corners. You got the China bend even. You got yourself that kind of Mickey Mouse section in the middle part of the racetrack. But you have got a very interesting run down to the keyhole. But I'll ask you a question. In the Verizon IndyCar Series, of course, they start the race down at turn number 3 because turn number 1 gets too tight. Have you considered doing that for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car event?
No, our cars are pretty narrow. They're like pencils, so we'll fit 4 cars into turn 1 easily. So no, that's not on the table.
I'll tell you one thing, Jake. If they're gonna now have a crash at turn number 1, I'm just saying now. I said it first. I told you so. But Philippe, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to DS Simulation for sponsoring this season again, and again, congrats to Ade for an amazing strategy.
Well, thank you. And by the way, round number 12, centripetal circuit.
No. That's because the schedule shows centripetal, but it's because it's a random track. So
why not just have a time trial? They've got to go from lane number 1, then a lap on lane number 2, then lane number 3, then lane number 4.
I don't even know how to do laps around that.
Just be like an NASCAR driver. Turn left. I can't say that too loud.
Oh, it just turns circles around that center point?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's pretty much it. Philippe Laber there coming home in 3rd place. And again, Jake, I am saying now, if there is a crash at turn number 1 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, I told you so.
Well, you will tell us so, and we have seen a fantastic race overall, Will. You know, you do put it up with that Watkins Glen race, which was 3 wide, 2 deep, heading up the S's section, which was absolutely fantastic to see. But of course, Will, you know, this brings the best of the best. And what I will say is, yes, we've had fantastic turnout. Yes, we've had a fantastic race. But I think the 2K World Cup needs to try and keep this level, keep this turnout as well. I don't want to see a 2K World Cup at the finale, which has only 25 drivers finishing.
Yeah, indeed. So we have, though, got Johnny Guindy in 4th place, stood by with you, Jake, from ERT.
Yes, I have Mr. Two Shoes himself, Johnny Gindy. Johnny, what a difficult race that turned out to be. Started 5th, that opening pack looked to be very, very dangerous. A lot of drivers wanting to move their way up and forward. How do you keep your head in a pack racing mentality on a road course like this?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit crazy, because the draft is just so insane. You have to pretty much half of the straight, you're not even at 60% throttle if you're in a big pack like that one at the start. But at the start I was just focusing, I mean, particularly after the safety car, I don't know, I figured maybe it was a big long shot, but maybe it was possible to go on a single stop. I soon realized that was impossible, and I have no idea how I managed to do it. So that first part of the first stint after the safety car, I was just saving as much fuel as I could. So I wasn't trying to get as far forward as possible. Only at the end of the stint, before going into the pits, I tried to move up a little bit, just so I'd lose a little bit less time going into the pits. After that, I got pretty lucky finding Vinny. So we could draft each other, go a little bit quicker, and also save a little bit of fuel. Obviously, he ended up saving quite a bit more than I also ended up overfueling by about 4 laps in the end, because my set 1 didn't work. I was just doing the math in my head and driving at the same time, so I overestimated how much fuel I needed, and I lost a bit of time. But still, it was pretty fun at the end fighting with Philippe. Just got a little bit unlucky with the lapped car that gave him the draft. Otherwise, maybe I could have had a bit more of an overlap on the outside and made the pass stick a little bit better.
Well, let's talk about that middle part of the stint then, because you're on your own, you're with Vinny Rocha, you're working together. How difficult is it to work together with someone from a different team who you know has that potential to be working for someone else, for example, like Philippe maybe, or is out there looking to get his own event working in his own process?
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell he's driving for himself. Especially, it's the first race of the season. It's not like anyone has more of a chance over anyone else in any given team. So pretty much everyone's just trying to do the best job, not crashing into their teammates, but at the same time racing pretty hard and getting every single advantage they can get. So I knew Vinny would work along, and he did. So I was pretty happy with that.
By that logic, I'm going to be the champion next season. So, you know,
I don't get that logic.
Well, you said that everybody has a fair chance of winning, right? So I'm going to be the champion.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well,
so coming up next, then 2 weeks' time, Mid-Ohio. Very similar in terms of layout to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Maybe a bit slower on the second half of the lap. Do you feel that Motorsport was a good eye-opener for you into the season, knowing that Mid-Ohio holds some very, very similar characteristics?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess now that I never thought about it, but now that you mentioned it, Mid-Ohio is very similar. Just a little, it's like a slower version of this track, really, where you don't really only have 1 or 2 hard braking zones, and then everything else you're brushing the brakes or braking as you're turning. So it's very similar in that aspect. I mean, this week was pretty encouraging for me, because this is traditionally one of my worst tracks, if not the worst track. And at the start of the week, I was about 0.3 slower than I am now. So I found a bunch of time throughout the week, just doing a bunch of practice. So that was pretty encouraging. And if this is my worst track, it should be pretty good for the rest of the season then.
Well, he's found the track that he wants to have a run at, and he's found some very good time as well. Johnny Gindy coming home in 4th position. A good solid start, Will, for today's proceedings and for the rest of the season in this championship.
Indeed so. We've also got Brian Lockwood here as well. Moving the microphone nicely in position. Brian Lockwood. Oh, no, that's Johnny. Johnny, move the microphone away now. You're dumb. Brian Lockwood, #1 machine. Champion coming into the season, defending champion. Qualifying wasn't that great. What went wrong? Brian! Brian!
Sorry about that.
There we are.
I wasn't sure what went wrong in qualifying. I just didn't have any speed. But Andrew told me in Discord that it looked like my car had pretty major wing damage. So that must be the reason that I didn't have any pace. So the rest of the race was just a recovery, you know. Not how I wanted to start the season, for sure, as the defending champion. But I think I showed some pace. I think I'll be able to do good things in the next few races.
Yeah, of course. The race itself, you were right there seeing the incident unfold into turn number 3. How hard was it to navigate?
Yeah, I got incredibly lucky. I had to dodge several cars going through. One car came across the track right in front of me. I almost stopped on the track, but managed to get away with no damage, really. So after the safety car, I was up to 23rd, and from there, matter of getting those laps.
Well, not the best opening to your title defense. However, you do get a top 10. Mid-Ohio sports car course up next in the championship. Looking to fare any better there?
Well, we'll see. I don't have much experience there. I think the last time I drove on that track in a Skippy was maybe 3 years ago. So hopefully we'll do well. I mean, I think I'm pretty confident going in. I think I'll be able to fight for the win there.
Well, thank you very much there, Brian Lockwood. Jake, final thoughts?
Well, a fantastic race, as we always tend to see in the 2K World Cup, but this one, for a lot of different reasons. We had the great fighting at the front in the beginning. We then had ourselves the sort of played out will they, won't they in the middle, and in the end it became a good old fuel save. And as much as people want to see those battles 5, 6, 10 wide coming to the line, a good old fuel save race sometimes becomes a big, big challenge. And Lexington, Ohio in 2 weeks' time will be where our destination next takes us.
OHIO. Don't forget, tomorrow night we have got ourselves Monday Night Skippies. If you enjoy the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park, you can see it all over again. Club UK Ireland Monday Night Skippies in support of the Calm Zone tomorrow here 8 PM GMT live on RaceSpot TV. And we'll be back in a fortnight's time as we head ourselves over to Ohio. Who knows? We might still have LeBron James being a part of the sports team over there. He might be gone. No one knows. And to be honest, I don't really care. But for the time being, that's all we got time for. Before we go, I want to give a shout out, of course, to the people that make it happen for us here on RaceSpot TV. Isman Balal, TrackCams22.com, Andres Warner and Andor1 Design for our overlay design, development and ATVO by Simon Grossman and Aptengeering.com, and Nick Dixon, as ever, for RaceSpot TV, live timing and scoring. That guy over there has been Jake Sperry. I'm Will Vinson. Good night from the Canadian Tires Motorsports Park.